to probably the fanciest update show you'll ever see. I'm Aggro here. You're going to be your host for this update. You may have seen some of the teasers going around. We are revealing Persephone today, the queen of the Underworld, and she wanted to throw a party, and it's cocktail attire, so we're all looking real fancy out here on the cast, but you'll see it in just a little bit. It's not only Persephone today, by the way, either. Lots of balance changes, a couple update notes, of course, and the tier 5 skin for Kukulkan revealed today as well, so I'm glad you tuned in because you're going to miss a big one if you're missing it. Let's take a look at some of these skin card previews, though, before we get into some of those balance notes. We'll start with Star Tyrant Ares.
There we go.
Super sweet there.
Sorry about that quick delay here. Let's get into patch notes. Audio levels seem fine-ish.
Infinite Ruler Oleron.
Hopefully.
First skin coming to the battleground.
We're going full screen.
And then the one that you guys are all excited about, of course, Winds
Make some more
of
adjustments
Change,
later.
Kukulkan.
But they should work for now.
I've seen this card art before, but today's the first chance you'll get to see it in game. We've also got Spirit Guide Artio, which I believe was teased on Twitter, which looks great. Gizmo
The community
Bologna.
skin.
Cool new look for Bologna. Calavera Scotty. Hopefully I said that
Weird.
right, because I'm not sure.
Fantastic.
Spooky Nightmares Cupid and Spooky Dreams Kumbhakarna. Look at that dynamic duo.
I'm going to use my headphones here and then back with the audio levels.
We'll get to see more of those in game.
It'll work
and all
out
that kind of
fine.
stuff a little bit later on. But first, we've got to
And then
get
we're
it
good.
over to the
Guess
balance
we had some
section
tech
today. It's
difficulties here.
Pon, and it's F Dot who's going to take you through it.
Oh, I'm not Hindu man, but it's me, F Dot, and we're going to be talking about balance. I got a thick book here, so we're going to be talking about, of course.
That should be good.
Excuse me, Pon is going to be sitting.
Audio
next to us.
seems
And,
great.
fancy, yes. This is kind of what I show up in every day for the cast, but you're looking a little different.
This is my one nice piece of clothing, my wedding suit. So
What?
when they asked to wear nice things, it's the only thing I had.
You want to talk about 0 to 100. There's no in between,
Okay.
just chilling and
Okay, we got
black
it.
tie for Pon. So let's get into it. One of my favorite things about the mid-season patch was how drastic some of our changes were. We've kind of talked about when we go from season to season and mid-season that we want to see some big changes. And one of the biggest things, which design as a team, but I think you were championing a lot, were those
Maybe move myself up a
Arthurian
bit.
items.
Yes.
The 4-1 after you ultimate, something crazy happens. Some of them were pretty crazy, and
Yes.
some of them not so much. So we kind of looked at all of them. Erendite, A is for Apple, A is for Erendite. That's where we're going to start off with. This
Oh, we're
one
going
was
right into
one
it.
of the, let's say, I don't even want to say underwhelming, but we brought it up a little bit.
Yay,
The
say
physical
underwhelming.
power
That's what
will
it
go
is.
up from 55 to 65 here.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we knew all these effects for all these items was going to be really potent. Erendite's ability to chase someone down and give
Good
them a
start.
burst is really impactful. Mirrodin's is really good with the double cast, but making sure their base stats feel justified for the amount of power they also bring to the table. And Erendite just didn't bring enough to the table in terms of stats, so that's why it's getting a 10 power upgrade.
Yeah, Erendite, some of them, everybody feels like they can buy a Pridwin. When you
Makes
look
them more
at
relevant for
Felmont,
some.
same thing. Erendite, I have definitely seen people kind of glance over it. So this hopefully brings it back into some of that same level of stuff. Failnot, again, like I said, this one has been seen all over the place. Decreased crit
Yes.
chance from 25% to 20, so
Still
one
strong.
item won't have 25 crit on it all by itself. And there was also an issue where we fixed the buff, kind of not applying or applying.
Yeah, so this is a kind of a two-way nerf. One is just the base stats. 25% crit is really efficient. 20% is this where you get the territory of needing other crit items to really support it as much. And so this should be a nice tone down for its just overall stat efficiency. And the second fix is it was applying its debuff to non-god targets. It's supposed to be god only, and so it was boosting effectiveness against things that it wasn't supposed to be. So 2 nerfs to it. One's a bug fix. One's a more direct nerf.
That one
Would
always
still
works out. Now,
be
Pridwin,
very good though.
This item was, you just buy it. It's good. It's going to get you halfway to your CDR cap, and the prots are certainly nice and effective as well. We're going to keep the CDR where it is. I think that's important, and I'll let you expand on that. But the magic prots have been brought down 10.
Probably
both
still
magical and
good.
Physical, so it went to 30 prots overall. But again, talk about that decision to leave the CDR where it is.
Yeah, so Pridwin is really there for the support to want to get CDR into their build, the Guardians frontline tanks who want to get it in there, as well as the amount of protections it provides needs to be associated with its cost so that it's cheap to build, because if it's too expensive, it's out of the support's ability to buy in a lot of cases. So rather than increasing the cost or decreasing the cooldown,
The issue is just that everyone can build it.
for the support players, we're just going to make the protections go down. This brings the stat distribution more in line with its overall cost. It makes it more comparable to things like Breastplate of Valor for CDR, right? That gives 65 prots. This gives 60 overall, and this should put it in a much healthier spot.
Also, just last note on Pridwin, everybody was saying it's just fun to play support with 20% CDR, so we didn't want to take that away. Again, the idea here was create some fun items. I think we did that, but this is just going to shape it up a little bit more.
And you'll also note there is no Mirrodin here.
Yes.
So Mirrodin, I think, was the one going in that everyone was like, "Oh, that passive is crazy, right?"
Yeah, but it got nerfed before it got to PTS.
Very expensive.
Like the full
were
FPTS.
Definitely lower than the other Arthurian items.
Sure.
And so we're just going to continue to watch the item. We don't want to overbuff. Like, I think most people realize now that it's very much more situational, especially because of the stats.
What's with this news background music?
Look at it more as people figure out different builds and different places it can be before deciding if we need to buff or nerf it.
I'm also a big fan of player discovery. I think there's still just time for players to realize some of the ins and outs of that item.
Yep.
Mirrodin will get stronger without us touching it. I promise. Dynasty Plate Helm. This is one that I'm very happy about, and I think a lot of hunters will be happy about. Carries. Dynasty Plate Helm has been brought down a peg.
Again.
So you're going to lose some of the magical power. 55 brought down to 50, and then you're going to lose some of that physical protection as well.
That's the cycle of Dynasty Plate Helm.
So it's still going to do what it is intended to do, just bring it down a peg.
Yeah, it's very efficient in regards to making it so that you can box other hunters and ADCs, or maybe even the soul lane if you want to get a little bit of armor. And it was just too effective at doing that. It limited the ability for counterplay to exist. And so we're just lowering the power, lowering the physical protection. There's more opportunity now for it's a bit less efficient in what you're trying to get out of it.
This next change, there's a lot of changes under this umbrella, and I think it's really important. If you've been watching your favorite streamers at all, you've seen the Bumbas mask kind of meta. Everything gotta go fast. Smite seems like F1 sometimes.
Yes.
So we've made a sweeping change here to movement speed in general on a lot of the items. Before we go into the details, I'll give you the platform to just kind of mention it.
Yeah, so movement speed is one of those stats that's like really effective. If you want to talk about like games going 25, 30 minutes long, just being able to move around the map faster, cutting a second off here, a second off there over the course of a whole game is a big deal. And it also means that if there's too much speed in the game becomes too evasive. People don't feel like they can accurately hit targets. It just becomes a kind of race to see who can go fastest. And so we want to make sure that we're not heading towards that territory. We're going to look at movement speed holistically across all the items that we've added it to, and then we're going to take it away in some places and bring other stats in to help those items so it's not just a loss. And then for classes that do need that movement speed, tone it down a little bit so it isn't as much as you were getting before.
So with that in mind, we'll start off at the top. Pretty big things, some pretty big rings right here. Emerald Ring, Enchanted Ring, Demonic Grip are all seeing some changes. Emerald Ring starting off at the top. The magical power increased from 20 to 25, so we are buffing.
You know how all this gonna hit him most?
Taking away the 3%
Kronos and Aokwang.
Movement speed, and that's going to be the rank 1 of the rings. Rank 2 is the Enchanted Ring. Again, the reduced cost, so it gets a buff from 1,200 to 1,100, but remove the 5% movement speed, so there ain't no movement speed on that ring either. And then we get to the tier 3s, which is the real items. Demonic Grip here. Again, no movement speed whatsoever on the Demonic Grip, but the magical power getting increased from 65 to 75.
Mm-hmm. And right here is kind of, you can see the direction we're going with this is
that's a loss.
Remove movement speed from these items where it's just
yes, it's more power, but it's still a loss.
Difficult to deal with, and also
it's
makes
fair,
them makes them very powerful without necessarily you feeling that power. And then moving that into things that will help that item. So Demonic Grip losing the movement speed is a big deal, but it is a very good stat efficient item in regards to getting basic attack damage out. We're just going to highlight that aspect a bit more while taking away the movement speed.
We did the same thing to the
Freya's hit as
well.
well.
Demo Grip is going to be sort of your executioner, if you will. Take away the movement speed, boost the power. Telkine's Ring here, take away the movement speed. That's 10%. And so to supplement that, the attack speed has been increased from 20 to 25%. As I said, 10% movement speed has been removed from
Definitely
that.
enough.
And then the third point,
actually.
we're going to increase the passive, the increased damage, magical power scaling from 10 to 15. So again, no movement speed, but more attack speed and more scaling on that passive. 10 to 15 is
buff.
Yeah, no, it's focusing on the strengths item, which is to augment your basic attack damage.
This is gonna be scary now.
Strong, but moving in that direction will help it when you remove the movement.
Sol,
because again, it is one of those things that does really impact.
Sol should be disgusting with that.
So we want to.
She never needed the movement speed as much.
The item for the power that we are removing from it.
And Shaman's Ring in the evolved version as well, also getting the same treatment. Does two things right now, and you're removing the movement speed, so you got to go up. Increase the cost from 2,400 to 2,500. Now, that is a nerf, but because of how much everything else has changed, the increased magical power from 100 to 110, it's a big deal. Not a lot of items are above 100 power. We're talking Doomorb to Hootie territory. Added 10% CDR. and then, of course, removed the 10% movement speed. And that movement speed allows us to go ahead and move on to the final point here, which is, again, the passive. The duration mark has increased from 5 to 10. So the passive is going to be the same, but it lasts a little bit longer. But I love the decision here to increase the power and the CDR.
Yeah, so again, movement
definitely
speed
worth it.
Make sure this item
Shaman's Ring was never the movement speed item out of
these.
these.
Highlight the
Like,
passive,
it's never for that.
Market target, you get to do more. CDR further augments that. The longer duration means
Not an AA item either.
As much. If you're a character with more longer burst windows rather than multiple rapid fire abilities, you can now use this item more effectively. And we generally felt that while bringing all these stats did help the item get its kind of own identity, we did have to increase the cost a little bit because all those stats did outweigh 10% movement speed just a little bit.
And so what's fun about these items, like I said, they have all done two things. They've made you faster and done one of these things. We took away the faster part and let it do the thing that it does a little bit better. Something I'm noticing, that's the last ring. We didn't touch the hastened ring whatsoever.
Yeah, so hastened ring, that's its kind of whole focus.
Yeah,
it's
okay,
really
that's good.
That's
fair.
Run down opponents.
Yeah,
that
I was hoping for that.
Really strong. We've done adjustments to it very recently.
It's actually buffs overall
to make
then.
sure that its power is more appropriate, and so we felt that it was appropriate to have that stay in the same state it is.
So just to reiterate, the rank 1 and the rank 2 rings won't have movement speed.
Pelican's plus hasten is close now.
Hasten ring will still have it because
it's more of a reason to build Obsidian instead of Demonic mostly.
-1 to increase the other.
It's still both.
Just leave it alone. That's the mage situation. Now we look towards the katana tree, which also got some adjustments. Katana level 1, the movement speed.
Wait, I thought this was to target
3%.
non-assassins.
Blade, that's level 2. That goes down from 8% to 5%. So again, like Pon said at the beginning, we're not removing it from the assassins. They theoretically need it a little bit more than the mages, but we are bringing them down a little bit, which I think is important for the overall health of the game. Ranks 1 and 2, you get it. So let's get into the meat and potatoes here. Masamune, this is the blue sword. This is the one that I like to see. The increased health, this makes a lot of sense. It's from 100 to 150. And then after that, they're going to decrease the movement speed from 10% to 7%. So a similar feel with the mage items. Bring it down a little bit, but increase.
I'd say that's a buff, but just for guardians and not for
bruiser frontline item.
assassins. For warriors.
Opponents. Just make it a little bit better at doing that. And you'll see here as we shift movement speed down rather than remove it, the buffs that we're going to bring to items to compensate either won't necessarily be there or it'll be more minor compared to what we did to the ring tree.
When we look towards the green sword, the stone cutting sword, this one gets a nerf. Decreased movement speed from 10% to 7%. But I think you were kind of foreshadowing with what you just said, because that's the only change to this item. No buff to compensate.
I feel like this item for the characters that use it effectively is
it's an AA item. Just leave the move.
If you have built-in attack speed stims, if you can get on targets to get a few hits, it's not only making you tankier, but in a lot of cases, it's even being more damage efficient.
It's not gonna ruin it. It's just so like why nerf a not overperforming item.
And so we felt this item could just actually take the movement speed nerf, and we didn't need to necessarily adjust it. A lot of the characters that are using it well are also some of the most winning gods in the game right now. So we are going to watch how these changes kind of affect those gods. But for now, we're just doing the movement speed reduction.
And the last item here as far as movement speed, and I love, we have some dev notes here, and I'm going to read the first sentence because I love it. Meme or not, this item provides a lot of movement speed for seemingly high risk. It's Bumba's Mask. They're going to increase damage taken by 10%, all the way up to 15%, and then decrease the damage dealt from 10% all the way up to 15%.
Yeah, if you want to go fast, you can go fast, but you're not going to hit as hard, and you're going to take some more damage for it.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, seemingly.
But for utility guts like somebody, this is still fine.
Enough,
yeah,
so.
10% is
utility
bruiser
bruiser
to begin feeling, but you won't necessarily notice it, and just the increased evasiveness is so good, as well as the CDR. So by making those more pronounced, you're going to feel that downside more.
So the movement speed has been touched for sure. Mages, specifically mage ADCs, won't be running around rampant, and even the assassins will be a little bit slower, but don't cry over spilt milk. You will have a little bit of movement speed in the jungle or wherever you're playing your assassins. So good stuff there. Moving on from items into the god world.
Wait, where's the new assassin item?
And somewhere AJ is cheering because Anubis is getting a
Of course, that's
here.
getting postponed to the next patch.
HP increase 350 to 380, and the increase base HP per level also from 66 to 70. And I want to, we have another change here to Anubis, but I want to touch on base changes like that, because sometimes sitting at home, it's hard to grasp what base HP and HP per level quite mean. How do you kind of summarize this?
I know some people in the comment section are going to be mad about this one.
Over the course of a game,
I am not.
Having extra health does things not only in just like, oh, I got away with 10 HP where I wouldn't have.
It's Anubis, man.
before. But also, it changes the way your opponents play around you when they look at you and go, if I engage right now, I might not be able to get this kill. That changes their decision making. It lets you make different opportunities. And for Anubis, who kind of needs to go forward into things, that level of confidence, being able to walk forward and knowing that you're likely to survive or be able to get more lifesteal, get your passive going, is just a big deal for him throughout the whole game.
When it comes to base HP and HP per level and like attack speed, a base level, for me, that's what it is to have a feels change. You might not understand the point per level, but you'll know how tanky you are at level 3 or lack thereof. And then the other change is going directly where you were talking about getting your abilities out there. Grasping Hands is getting some nice love here. Decrease the mana cost from 70 all the way up to 90. We're going to change that from 60 up to 80. So you're going to spend less mana on that 3. And then, of course, decreased cooldown as well. It used to start at 15 seconds and go down to 11. Now we're going to start at 14 down to 10. 1 second really makes a difference sometimes, huh? Yeah,
it's not only safer wave clear, but better zoning opportunities. If you can't go forward and actually Plague of Locust Breath an opponent because they're going to just turn on you and kill you, you have access to this slow area, zone denial, and if you can trap them in a pretty significant damage more often.
Fun changes there for Anubis. Maybe we'll see some more of him. Arachne is going to be next, and maybe hopefully we see less of her in my specific rank games. Ban her if you're playing with me. She's very, very powerful. And because of that, she's been brought down a peg. Venomous Bite, that's going to be the lifesteal, the number 1. That's healing per tick has been brought down. It used to start at 10 to 50 and then get 10% scaling. Now it's going to go
no one
from
buys
8
anti-heal.
to 40 with only
low levels of play.
That's a big, big nerf. And the web change is going to be important as well. 25% is how much used to be slowed by the spider web. Now it's going to go down to 15. Seems drastic, because it is. But she also gets movement speed on that web,
So I think the important thing to read here is Arachne is strong. Every metric shows that. We've been talking about it for months now, but we've actually seen now ban rates for the character also rising to the point where she's on the top of the ban list too. So this is something that why I think a lot of players would initially go, it's kind of weird to see Arachne get a nerf. Players who are playing the game,
it's a heavy nerf, man,
are banning Arachne because she is a significant threat. We've seen her also come into pro games every so often, so she's definitely there. She's definitely potent enough to deserve a nerf. And so we're targeting specifically here the things that make her very difficult to ever box against. If she ever gets on you, you know that you're likely dead. We want to give you a bit more agency to be able to fight back and not have her just out-sustain any damage that you do. So that's why the scaling nerf is there and the base damage nerf is there. But we also want to have you have a chance to escape. She is getting, I think, 40% movement speed on that web. So really the speed differential was 65%. We're reducing it to 55%. So she's still going to chase you. She's still going to be able to run you down. But just that extra breathing room that you might be able to get after you leap, or breathing room for her to like not get directly on you while you're running back to your tower, those things are going to help you escape Arachne a bit more effectively.
I think the important point is that the identity of the character, you still don't want to fight the bug, but now you have a chance at all. You're saying there's a chance. And also kind of a shout out to you guys, didn't dumb down the character. You can still do the weird blue buff clear if you start your spider, so there's still some intricacy there.
Which is super annoying, super hectic since they changed the timers to run out of base so early.
He hasn't been seeing much play, so we're going to see his base stats increase as well, just like Anubis.
What?
The base attack speed going from 1.1 to 1.4.
Chiron is so nice right now.
Large jump in base.
Chiron is so nice right now with Beanland as well.
25% is where it used to slow.
With the CDR.
Now it's going to start there, but go all the way up to 35%.
Chiron is going to be a beast.
And, you know, I don't have to tell you.
I've played a little bit of Chiron. I've played against Chiron. Chiron is really good right now, in my opinion.
Especially ability hunters like Chiron.
Yeah, maybe not really good, but good enough. Like after this, he's going to be really good.
Some utility to really justify their ability hunter role over someone like Artemis Vengeful Assault running you down with a whole bunch of attacks. And so the base stats will help move him closer to what those hard carries can do without like going too far into their role. And also additional utility is going to help him land some shots when he can. Just give him his team more utility, really highlight the ability part of him where we give him some base level so that he can compete in the late game and not be completely overshadowed.
Chiron ability based. The other side of the coin here, we've got the mage that's attack speed based. Chronos. Let's go. That's what we're going to change.
Right, he's going to get nerfs along with the ring nerfs?
Just a little bit. His initial movement speed starts at 25, and it ramps up as you have the buff going on. Now it's going to start at 15%, and that's a big change. But again, this character has been kind of everywhere.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we watched Cronus after he did all the item changes recently. We expected it to hit him more than others because he was building those items, and he didn't seem to move much, which went to more a core problem that he has too much ability in the laning phase. And so specifically, we felt his accelerate, just like how we talked about movement speed to all these items, when you have that level of movement speed, the ability to out-rotate people, the ability to juke their incoming shots really effectively, becoming too evasive, can just really boost your ability to do the things. And so we are reducing the movement speed here to give players more opportunity to fight against Cronus, less escapability, less boxing potential overall. This will have a ripple impact across his whole game.
All of his items lost movement speed, and he's losing movement speed on the kit. That was one decision conversation, right?
Yeah, and he's really strong too, which is this is why we discussed not doing further nerfs to him, right? This is the one nerf we wanted to do to him because while we could go further with this, he is getting those other item changes, and those are targeting aspects about him that we do feel are going to be the strong points that really affect him. So we didn't want to.
I don't see Kronos being as much of an issue with Fail not being around, to be honest.
He didn't move much. You meant on the charts. He moved all over the map, so we're going to make sure that doesn't happen as much. Hera, a character that was fun when she came out, but kind of got really dropped down, and so she's going to get some love here.
It's
the
broken
polymorph damage is going to
after her first change.
It started at 60 and would rank up all the way up to 240. Now that's getting some love, starting at 80 and going to 240. So specifically, the early game is getting changed here for Hera.
Yeah, so when she was released, she was really strong. Argus did a lot of damage. We did some adjustments there to make sure that players felt like they could fight against Argus effectively and her burst a bit more manageable.
Sure.
And then over that, we now see that she's in a state when she starts the game. Her early capability of trading with people and being effective is just not consistent. You either have a really good matchup where you can go forward or you don't. And so giving Polymorph a little bit more base damage, especially in the early game, is just going to help that early game be more consistent. She's going to be able to get online more consistently, and when she's online, Argus is a pretty big threat.
Yeah, you can engage from ranged and knock a bunch of players up. My Polymorph can do a little bit less damage then. In the early game, a little bit less so. One of my favorite mages right now, and absolutely the top of the
that's a fair change.
Isis. So Isis has gotten a change. She's still pretty strong. But we are going to make the change to the ultimate here. So the mitigation's 25%. We jumped over the 20% mark, and that's where we're going to peel it back to.
Yeah, so it was 15 scaling to 20 before. We went straight to 25. We're finding the middle ground there.
Fair enough.
Why this might look like a not enough of a change for Isis. We know that when she comes into play, players have to get a bit of time adjusting to her being more often in games.
Yeah,
so rather than
that's fair.
Just bringing out all the nerfs right at once, we want to make this targeted change, which we do think was giving her too much survivability at all stages of the game, especially in like when players tried to engage with her ult, she could answer back really effectively. So we want to make sure that that's toned down a little bit, and then we'll continue to watch her performance, how players learn to play around her before deciding on more nerfs.
Control mages are definitely a little bit more interesting to balance than when we talk about some of the more traditional mages. And, how do you numerize some of these options? So we'll see how it all balances out. And then Giannis. I want to give a special shout out to Clumsy Death out there. Giannis has gotten a buff.
It happened.
No.
1 second decreased on the cooldown for unstable.
Even more?
Yep, so this is a partial revert of a change. It was at 8 seconds, and he was incredible at farming mid-harpies. He was incredible at rotating
that
objectives.
10 seconds was fine. Please.
And so we nerfed it to 10 seconds, and we saw him fall off. He'd already been struggling
in not unstable vortex
overall, and so when we took a character who is really good in the hands of skilled players and skilled teams, and also nerfed him too hard so he's not even seeing play there, we know that we went a bit too far. We're finding the middle ground. We hope 9 seconds will be a good point for him that skilled Giannis players can really make use of him.
Again, control mage, kind of similar conversation to Isis there, where very small things to tweak. Big things to tweak here because Jormungandr, that's a big guy. We're changing some,
Yeah, this is a lot, and it's probably just better for me to explain.
Yeah, you know what? Jormungandr, your turn.
So the patch notes overall have changes of like decreased magical power scaling and decreased like bonus damage. The thing here is when he consuming bellows, he takes the gas clouds around him and that augments his damage. It was calculating incorrectly and not reducing the amount it was providing per cloud in regards to magical power scaling. So we've made a lot of numbers adjustments here.
So he was doing more or less damage than he was supposed to?
He was doing more than intended.
Okay.
And so, or he was doing less than intended. So now we have fixed it so that he will be getting the proper scaling. The math is being done correctly, but we've decreased numbers in his kit so that they are supposed to be as close to the same as possible. Our goal with this change is not to impact his balance. Our goal is to fix the bug and then do the math needed to make it so he performs exactly the same. So you see numbers changes, they're a bit confusing.
I mean, he's on 50% win rate, so it's
6
fair.
in one hand, half a dozen in the other, hopefully. And obviously, you know, we'll keep an eye on it and make sure it gets shifted back to as normal as possible. And then the last god change here is going to be Olorun. He has come out, but he has come out a little bit too short. And so his base health is going to get a little bit more brolic, 400
That's fair.
to 450.
That's good.
We talked about the importance of base health and what that means. Just being able to walk up into the lane a little bit more effectively. And then, of course, a change to Focus Light. This is the base damage increase. It started at 100 and went up to 260. Now we're talking 100 to 280, so that end game damage from the giant orb is going to be winding up a little bit more devastating in the late game.
Yes. Olorun is designed to be a hunter through and through. He has the mage tag. He is meant to fulfill that hunter role as a whole. And so when we looked at his base stats, we looked at his base health, and he really was still in the mage class, which for a character that we designed so heavily to really fill that hunter role actually felt awkward. And so we've increased his base health to match the hunter class. And so he's actually on the top of the mage class now.
That's
This
appropriate.
is really just to move him more in that hunter direction.
With his lack of mobility.
And then, as other hunters need, Focus Light is one of those abilities that, like, it kind of rounds out your damage as you build your basic attack damage. Like, other characters have, like, their standard core, like, clear ability or poke ability that they need until their basic attacks can really take over. We're just making sure Olorun fulfills that role a little bit harder hitting when you rank it up.
Sometimes when it didn't crit, you just went, what?
Yeah.
Then when it crits, you're like, what? So
Gonna say it amps up the
gotta
crit,
fill in
which
that
is what makes me
in-between.
skeptical.
The last change is going to be Zeus. He's been removed from the game. I'm just kidding, but it's Aggro's turn now, and I wanted to see his face.
No.
You can't just say that, man. There are lots of us that really like Zeus. What was that about? Tom's
thought that's
not
gonna be
allowed
a
on the
Zeus
show
change.
ever again. I'm making the executive decision. That's not going to work for me. All right, it's time to get
Good.
into some of the skins.
Check
that we previewed
audio
a
really
little bit
quick.
Earlier on to do that, we've got Tina, we've got AJ, and we've got
Yeah, I
Chris
think we're looking good.
joining us here. Everyone looking nice and dapper, though AJ
Oh,
certainly
little bit
cannot
low.
get away from the Amaterasu shirt no matter what.
I was surprised at how well my suit paired with this shirt, but you know,
You really think
sometimes
so,
you
huh?
just get lucky and you just look good. So that's what we'll do.
Pure luck, as always, I'm sure. All right, we'll start it off with Star Tyrant Ares. This one, I hadn't seen the card art for before. I'm here for this one.
Ares has too many good skins.
This is super sweet. He's got a lot of different, he's got a more modern feeling skin. He's got the tier 5, of course, the more, mythological. Sci-fi Ares is something I can get down with, you know?
We're trying to really make sure our sci-fi skins
Yeah.
make a big impact on the game, and we try not to overdo them.
Also
Make sure
copyright.
There's no gods that have conflicting themes, but this was something that we felt was really absent from Ares' skin repertoire.
Yeah, this I think it looks awesome. In fact, we've got a little preview of the voice pack here. Let's take a listen.
My armies will consume this universe without end like a great black hole.
Copyright.
I will conquer your entire solar system, from Pluto to Uranus.
Yeah, I think we have a few too many Uranus jokes at this
My
point.
hate burns hotter than 1,000 suns.
So Tina, that was not you, is what you were pleading to AJ. that
Why
it
are we
wasn't.
choosing the jokes for this show? That's my question. I've said it so many times that the jokes. This is not the best case to highlight jokes. People like jokes though.
That's
And they're
true.
the
That's
hardest
good.
thing for the designers to write, so I appreciate them.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
But let's look at some effects and some ability animations.
Chains look pretty
Yeah,
normal.
Chris, Ares, I think we definitely talked about it. Wow, that is sweet. We talked about it when it came to the tier 5. Ares is like just kind of doing his thing. It doesn't seem like a god that you can make that many flashy things happen with.
Yeah.
But somehow you guys managed to make it look great every time.
Yeah, the artists that did this, I mean, they did a great job with the, our pattern hexagons that we always have. They're really nice. And I was going to say, if the sword doesn't glow, I'm going to be very disappointed, but it does.
Oh, it does.
It's got a
Excellent.
very nice glow too.
Yeah, and it's glowing and looks sharp all at the
Yeah.
same time. Let's take a look at the ultimate. We haven't seen No Escape quite yet. That's
Honestly,
cool.
it all looks pretty.
That is super
Basic
cool.
to me.
I don't know, something about those like hexagon like flashing effects gets me just about every
Audio
time.
too sound really good. The sound effects there,
Yep.
very very powerful sounding.
That's true.
That is awesome.
I think that's what he says.
Eh.
Super cool. Absolutely love that.
I think
one. All right,
Ares
we
is
gotta
better
move on
skins
to
already.
Pillow Fight Nike. Next up, I
She's
do believe.
cute.
This is one that like I never
This
would've
one's
thought of it.
great.
By the way, love these the plushy skins around in the card art look awesome. I never would have thought of like Pillow Fight Nike, but I'm like that's gonna be a good skin as soon as I saw it. You know?
Oh, it's so good.
She has a good
Right with the
balance
buff.
now of skins. She's got a darker one and then more angelic one, and now she's got just something fun.
Yeah. Super fun here. Let's take a listen to the voice pack.
This slumber party is going to be the best as yet. I'll be the next pillow fighting champion.
Wait, has Tina voiced this?
I'm so good at sleeping, I can do it with my eyes closed.
That is good. I wasn't sure if there
My
was another one.
dragon will num-num you for lunch.
That is awesome. It's definitely. Oh yes, I was hoping that the sound effect right away was the first thing I thought of.
She's so cute, dude.
Look at the dragon's face.
Yeah,
when
the
she
basic
swings
attack
it
sounds
back. It's like,
fantastic.
it's like it's holding on for dear life while she's swinging it around.
Just slow-mo it. See, it's like, ah!
I can imagine that dragon just internally screaming for its entire existence.
It is.
That is awesome.
Oh.
Man, you can't.
What
are you
the
really, like,
pause?
putting a pillow on a stick? That seems like kind of cheating.
It's a hobby horse.
Its hands
It's a
move.
hobby dragon.
They wiggle when she's swinging it.
Oh yeah, her wings. Yeah, they are.
No, the arms on the dinosaur.
The arms on the dragon.
really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he has quite like ragdoll physics on his arms and like just waving around.
It's so cute.
Look at that! Look. I'll do that again. The side strafe
The
while you're doing the
side
two.
strafe.
Catch me doing this all
Oh,
the
it's
time.
so
Another thing you might
good.
notice here is while she's channeling her two, it's playing a sound, which was something with the rework of Nike was lost. It was a bug. That's being fixed for Nike and all Nike skins. So there was some big Nike
Oh my
fans
God.
there, especially with the 4th of July Nike that were
Look at his face.
had lost her patriotic music. That will be returned to you
Okay.
with this update. So it's also used in this skin. It's used in all of her skins. So
Great. Good to know for sure.
God,
That
it's
is-
cute.
That is super cool. Oh, I love the glowing scales that she gets in her ultimate. It looks.
I hope
like
she has a
those are
good
little bit
special.
brighter whenever
also
she
worked
has
with a
that.
voice actress this time that I've never worked with before, and she was so sweet and so fun to work with. Her name's Sophia Espinosa.
Oh, please, Tina.
Sophia. Shout out to Sophia.
yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Number one.
I'll tweet the full name.
There you go.
We're constantly looking for new talented voice actors. You know,
Yeah.
keep expanding the overall roster of Smite. I think it's great whenever we can find new people to work with who turn out to do great work.
Man,
The
that little
squeaks are
face
too
is-
good.
Yeah.
The squeaks are
squeakies.
great. The face on the 3. This one is going to be fun to go up against.
And now that she's running the duo lane a little bit more, you could run this with the
Artemis.
Artemis skin.
Yeah.
Oh, you can.
So you can just have
Have
a
the full pillow
super
party.
cuddly duo lane. And
I
you can
won't
maybe
be that
battle
cuddly.
against the duo lane we'll be talking about later today.
Yeah, that is fair. All right, let's go to Infinite Ruler Olaron. Olaron's first skin since joining up, besides
Yeah.
of course recolors. And
I didn't even plan to
Black.
get that, but
And
it seems
it's
like I
one
will.
that I'm always a sucker for the cosmic theme, man. I can't help
I love
it. It just looks cool. What do you want from me? You know?
True.
Let's take a listen to the voice pack here for Infinite Ruler Olaron.
There must be chaos to balance the order, but always light to fend off the infinite void.
Oh man.
Knock knock. Who is there? Me. And I have no time for jokes. Stop. Your efforts are pathetic.
All
Wow.
right, that joke was kind of good. I'll give it up.
It's an anti-joke.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of those.
So you have more of an infinite
Yeah.
theme
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But
It looks a little bit-
Oleron as a character has a lot of cosmic themes, so we're
Right.
you kind of get a good merger of those skin themes because oftentimes
robe
when you're
actually
skinning,
looks
you got
weird with
to
the
use
basic
the god's
attacks.
core theme in ways as well.
Oh,
so.
that is so cool.
Yeah, the effects
Kinda
of the
throwing me off.
went really all out on this one, Chris.
It's
That
really
looks cool,
crazy.
though.
Yeah, these infinite skins, they always tend to have really cool effects, but I think this one just tops them all. This is really sick.
That is so cool. Just like we don't have very many weird shaped things. Like
Oh,
that, you know?
nice.
Everything's nice and smooth and round and or
Yeah.
nice and
Is he
square.
missing a stomach?
That's part of the infinitiness of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
missing a little bit of his.
He doesn't have to eat.
Exactly.
Some of his
That's a
limbs
sad
and some of
existence.
his. Yeah.
I know that is a sad thing.
Maybe he
just
can
eats
just
for fun.
eat all he wants of whatever he wants in the whole universe with
That
no
is
downsides.
a great existence,
Yeah.
for sure. Definitely
As
a top 3 genie wish for what it's worth.
Right.
Being able to eat whatever you want without any negative
As
repercussions.
an infinite cosmic creator, he's probably capable of that.
Yeah,
God.
I would assume as much.
I think. Oh my gosh.
Someone must have known to show that one specifically.
Absolutely. Oh, that is
Oh,
really
wow.
cool tech.
I love the triangle pattern we use in all these kind of, and then especially when you get that kind of shattering feel with it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, your reality being
So
shattered.
this is a reward skin for your completion of the 3rd chapter of the.
Yeah, the effects are
Battle
really
for
nice on
Olympus.
this one. The skin
those
itself, I don't even
skins
care
we
that
just
much,
showed
but
ahead
the
of
effects.
time, right? The Nike and
they
Air,
are part
those
of
are
Battle
the
for
last
Olympus.
two.
Correct.
So with this skin, we wrap up the Battle for Olympus, but of course we have to show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, AJ, doesn't that
This is
mean
just
that
the
we
third
should...
reward. This is not the final
reward.
What is the final reward, you may ask? Well, it's Winds of Change Kukulkan, the tier 5 skin that we've been talking about quite a bit. And I have not seen anything for this, and I am super stoked to take a look at it in game. Of course, I imagine that we do have one of those voice
I just have to think of that
ready
Scorpion
for it,
song.
and, let's take a listen.
Wind of Change.
A new world is born every moment, but not even the most powerful god can know the destiny of each of them. Soon you will see the beauty of nothingness.
Ooh, I like that.
I have a feeling there will be a good bit of unnatural selection occurring on this battlefield.
Oh, wrong one for that one.
Wow, that is
What
so
is
sick.
the size of that skin, though?
That's just the back animation?
That's the recall animation. So the team really
What?
went above and beyond on this.
You're gonna miss so many
SMITE
abilities
team,
because the
especially
model is bigger
animation
than...
effects. Of course, all of the art
What?
pipeline, all the way from modeling, concept art,
What?
tech art, rigging, had a ton of work to do on this skin to make it. We keep trying to top ourselves with these tier 5s, and a whole lot of effort went into this, and I really just want to thank our entire team.
It looks so dope, but
if
it
you
looks
haven't
like
heard anything about
too
this
big.
beforehand, there are 3 different forms that were showed off there. We have
Right.
Celestial, Void, and Life. I'm guessing this is the Celestial.
Yes.
Right, you will
version right
start
here.
in Celestial form, and it's
Okay.
kind of a mini story of the universe in a skin.
Okay.
At the beginning, there is creation and light, and in between, you have life and survival and struggle and evolution, and then eventually, you just have the empty, absent void of space.
Right, because nothing we do matters. It's all going to go into the void eventually.
In
Anyway,
the end, we are
feel
just
really
a
good about
speck
it.
on top of a tiny speck floating in the middle of an empty, infinite nothingness.
Well, that's
That's
sad.
some nihilist
But
stuff.
when you get to the life, you gotta live, you know? And that's why that's part of this skin as well.
Okay, so does it change like a lot of other tier 5s as you level?
This one actually changes every time you fire the ultimate.
Oh.
And you also have the ability to use the special emote VXG to change.
See, you just changed.
Holy. That
I
was so
really
smooth.
like the skin design. I mean, I
see
don't
what
even like
happened, to
Kukulkan,
be
but the
honest.
skin design looks
So
cool.
I guess I was looking at the big dragon.
It's a
coming over
change
the
at the
top.
beginning of
I
the
just don't get how
ultimate
the
fire,
size
and what
works.
it'll do, it'll change to the next form, and the ultimate effects will look like the next form.
Okay.
And it always rotates through life or celestial to life to void. So when you
Unicorn
fire
dragon's
the
my
ultimate
favorite.
on the life, you'll switch to the void. You'll see a void dragon ultimate.
Man, that is cool. So this is an all-new basic attack animation for him for this skin, it looks like.
Look at the character. He's a totally different shape.
Yeah.
The
every single one
abilities
is completely
don't-
This is
different.
truly a tier 5. He's got arms and
All that
legs
much
and
though,
multiple
okay.
arms, and he's got multiple arms here.
He
He's
has
got
no
tails.
legs.
He's got a very upright posture, a little bit different than base Kukulkan. He has had
that
a
is
lot
so
of rigging
cool.
That's
work
really
and animation work. And then, of course, the effects team always went all out. All 3 forms, completely unique set of animations and effects. 3
Holy.
completely new voice pack
Packs,
per form.
That
Yeah,
is
that tornado is
so
kinda
cool,
hard to
dude. My mind
recognize,
is
but-
being
When you hit the
blown.
Odin with the void,
Eh.
they get these other little cool effects. So you get very different take. You get these extra beams instead of the whirlwinds.
Yeah.
It's always
Oh,
a
yeah, he
nice
gets
part
the
about
beat.
tier 5s is that
Yeah.
you can just kind of take it a little bit over the top, maybe in a new
Just a little
direction, you know. But
Oh,
this
now you're
looks,
back.
I mean, this skin turned out great. It's
That
amazing.
is awesome. And as AJ mentioned, you can cycle with the VXG. I believe that is not working in this current build, but it will be in the future. So you'll
Yep.
be able to change as you please along those 3. Man, you really... Every time I'm like, there is no way a tier 5 could be better than this. There's no way.
Just
like
the-
Ares 360 dunking with his ult, nothing could be cooler than that. And then it's a Kukulkan that changes 3 times. Depending on what
I love the colors on the life form,
Yeah.
just
It's
of
my
the
favorite.
scales and the feathers, but then the effects as well. They're amazing. I love the skin.
Man, again, that is your reward for completing the Battle for Olympus. All 3 chapters, you get reward skins for completing each chapter individually as well. Plenty of things in there, so make sure you get it while you can so you can get your hands on Winds of Change Kukulkan. We know you guys are hanging around for Persephone, but we've also got some other things to go over.
Yeah.
First, we're going to throw it back
There we
to
are.
Tom and Isaiah on the desk just after this.
Oh no, SMITE blitzes out of alpha or something. Well, good moment for me to check my setup. It's good for when we look at Persephone. Yep, that looks good. That looks like something we can work with. Yeah. Well.
SMITE Blitz, baby. It's on mobile. I saw the words chalk, and that's what I'm going to be here to talk about. I'm F. Dot, and I'm joined here by community specialist, sensationalist, Isaiah.
Sensationalist.
You're wearing the 11s, man.
That's right, man. I had to do it to him.
So we're going to talk to you a little bit about some mobile games. Pre-registration and pre-orders are available.
Well, I'm going to check Twitter. I'm going to see what the feedback of the new god is, because
early by doing just that.
That's right.
I genuinely am not
available right now for pre-registration
interested to
iOS
that
and
extent.
Android. The more people that pre-register,
I think it's just not SMITE related at all. Like, feel free to skip over this part.
I believe chalk is going to be that final reward, and you'll also be able to get some in-game currency for SMITE Blitz if enough people pre-register. So be sure, open up the App Store, the iOS, Google Play Store, pre-register SMITE Blitz, and get ready.
Or don't.
Oh, I was actually just getting my chalk.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Just getting my game on right now. I guess I'll have to wait till later. But so that's going to be fun on the mobile game, of course. But on the PC, we've got some stuff coming out for you guys as well. Skin deals.
That's right. Who doesn't love deals, right?
Deals, man.
So we've got
Right, Alpha Jekyll just called Kukulkan the pay-to-lose skin. Don't disagree.
And it's a little bit different than what we've done in the past. So we're actually looking at past exclusive skins that have been in chest or events. We noticed that, it's a feels bad type moment, when, especially for new players, when you open up the game, you see this awesome new skin, and you see this exclusive tag, and you don't know when it's coming back. So this new deal section will be along with the daily deals, but is a separate thing. It will have 3 different exclusive skins that will rotate and be available for direct purchase. And the plan is to have that store deal section rotate around every Friday. That way, past exclusive skins will be available for direct purchase.
That works out for me. Come home after the SPL games. SPL airs every Thursday and Friday, obviously.
Wasn't the idea not to do that with exclusive, or was that limited?
You go home and get some skins on the Friday deal.
Exactly.
Gotta love it. Gotta be having it.
That's a bit confusing.
I'm here, so we're.
I mean, fair enough. I don't really care,
any
but
excuse for me. Community celebration is what's going on. I just see the word celebration and stop reading, so I'm gonna you explain what's going on.
Yeah. So we were thinking about the Ardio skin that was coming out. Shout outs to Fiona Art or at Noazette on Twitter for the amazing concept for Spirit Guide Ardio, which is coming your way this update. And we were just looking for ways to just celebrate.
I still want to see how that turned out, like in game. The model for that.
So in years past, the community skin every year has been available for direct purchase, but we're kind of brainstorming this event. And we wanted to, step it up a notch. So in this new community celebration event, everyone will be able to earn Spirit Guide Ardio absolutely for free.
What?
If it's for free, it's for me. That's generally my rule of thumb.
Yeah, that is impressive.
No, this is really big, man. I don't know if you
remember,
wow. Like, I'm here, but I started just making YouTube videos in the community, man. And so seeing this is the ultimate shout out to you guys. You guys give us an idea. We just kind of give it back to you.
Exactly.
I've never really seen that here.
Yeah, that is actually
like
huge.
A new
what?
Type of an event that we haven't done before. So the way it's going to work is the more games that the community collectively plays, there's going to be a progress bar. So the more games that are played by the community, the more rewards in this event that will activate and are able to be earned. So the more the community plays, the more rewards that activate, and then the more you play, the more rewards you unlock. And then the final reward is Spirit Guide Ardio. That's
some old school stuff. We had some things like that way back when, and I remember playing games like World of Warcraft where the whole server has to get together to get one big deal. Well, this is the thing. Now you get your homies to play, and you get everybody to play, and everybody's going to be ramping up these rewards.
Right, and you get to unlock an absolutely amazing skin, and I believe we've got the card art ready. We're going to go.
I don't get it. So you just wait until there's enough games played?
That Spirit Guide Ardio one. Again, shout outs to the inspiration from some of the artists in our very own community, which frankly, shout out to all of them. The artists in our community are dope, and they give us stuff like this on the regular. Obviously, not just a skin. We got the voice pack as well.
I've got so much of a story with this skin that I can't get into here, but
too friendly to
so much of a story.
Maybe we should have stayed in the spirit realm.
Very Japanese.
I don't have a spirit animal because I am a spirit animal.
Oh!
There you go. There's the fox.
This skin cost me a lot of headaches.
Fox, excuse me. Big fan. Big
you
fan.
have
I like
no
the
idea what I can unleash here.
I like the
But
scepter too.
I think it turns out pretty nicely.
And here she is in game.
I think the wolf actually, or the kitsune, whatever, actually turns out pretty nicely. Better than expected. Ooh, that is a nice effect.
What I like about the skins here is always the core concept, right? So the whole thing Spirit Guide, but everything's tying in with the pink and the green.
Okay, I don't like this model that much.
But the color motif is a big deal on all of these.
But that's the same for most audio skins except the druid one for me.
Right. Yeah. So
Except no, wait. Except the.
This concept was inspired.
I didn't know what
very
it's
much
called.
by Japanese culture. So you can see
The edgy one.
Pink, the cherry blossoms. The original concept was actually called Kitsune Artio,
right?
And that's where you kind of get this fox.
Okay. No. Okay.
Looking pretty dope.
See, the fox looks cool like this, but the basic attack animation, it doesn't work. It's like the paws are so much smaller than the bear claws.
Again, shout out to the details. Some of those markings on the back are really sick, and the ins and outs here.
It just they would have had to change the animation there. It just looks derpy.
More details on when this event starts. Keep an eye on social media, but we're gonna hop on to the next skin, which is
Or just made the paws bigger.
This is kind of like think of like a community-wide battle.
I don't know why they made that so
More
strange.
games we
I don't know why
all
they didn't
play
change that.
will unlock more. Gizmo Bologna is one of these options as well, and this is really
Unfortunate.
what I like to live.
this skin turned out absolutely amazing. When I heard the pitch, they were like, "We're gonna make Bologna a future space mechanic," and I was like, "Huh?" But wait till you guys see it in game; it looks awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of attitude here. Let's hear what she sounds like as well, because she just looks pretty damn cool.
I guarantee a fast service, no matter how long it takes.
Oh, so there's that mechanic. You know, she's gonna fix your car.
Listen, it's not rocket science. Wait, actually, Bella, it is rocket science.
All right. So are we getting SMITE
I wouldn't step any closer, buddy. I'm in the
I don't
mood
think
to throw
I don't
a
know
wrench.
if anyone can fix the SMITE carts the way we want it to. But definitely Gizmo Bologna can definitely give it a shot. And these effects turned out absolutely amazing. My favorite thing about Bologna skins
Bologna
is
also has
watching
too
her
many
kind of
cool
switch
skins.
weapons, and these turned out awesome.
Yeah, I love to see the inspiration of where the items are going to go. So she's got the
Ooh.
wrench on one there. She got the sword board. That's kind of like obviously like a megaton hammer. It's kind of doing the thing. And that, all right, that's cool. That's absolutely what I would expect some like future chain to be like. I like the retract. Watch, if we stop basic attack, it retracts back into itself. That's really sick.
I think it's neat, but it's not like, wow, this is the Bologna skin that I always wanted.
The team was really going for a spunky mechanic type vibe.
Oh yeah.
This really
So yeah, it's just cool.
Oh, yeah.
No, I can see what I can see that people would
Got some
play that.
attitude.
It's not
I
me.
have probably met her before. She
Oh, wow.
definitely seems like the type of girl that would ruin my life.
I just want
Yeah,
to SPL
she's just
Bologna.
doing her thing, and fantastic stuff with Gizmo Bologna. That's just one of them. We got more. Scotty is going to come up next. This is fun because this fits in with the Loki theme.
Exactly.
Remember the Loki skin?
We're
This
going
one
with
is so
the Day of
cool.
the Dead vibes and Calavera Scotty. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
It is. You're right.
Yeah.
Calavera. And we've got, again, the duck. This is actually the only reason they invited me.
Right.
Multiple dog skins. And so, as we said, Calavera Scotty coming through. Let's take a listen to what she's got to say.
The Day of the Dead is upon us once again. My family has put out so many ofrendas for Caldo and me.
I love the accent. I
Wait,
love
what's with the wings?
The cold goes right through me.
this dog is insane. Can't wait to see it again.
Mess with the spirits, and they will mess with you.
I believe that, Scotty. I absolutely believe that.
This skin looks so great. I was talking with AJ a couple days ago, and we were really brainstorming. We've seen Day of the Dead concepts pop up on social media all the time, and we've tried.
I wish we had a whole set of them. That's the skins that I want 100 of.
Really elevates the concept, and it really shows in the skin. It looks amazing.
But what's with these wings?
Again, talking about that cohesive color scheme here. You've got this Calavera, and it's very, like she said, Day of the Dead.
Is this just so he can yeet better?
And it's supposed to be kind of,
Is this just for the ultimate?
infused, but it's the like purple blue.
It's just for the ultimate, is it?
Side, not the like death and decay type, like everything is black and death.
Right. It's very much a celebration, right?
Yeah. It's the celebration. That's what we're doing. I mean, it's a community celebration all overall. I love though, and this is unrelated. We recently changed it to where Scotty can just yeet Calder out there at a target. He's got wings on this skin.
Exactly.
Oh, so it's actually just for that.
And the
Jesus
events
Christ.
actually went nuts. They actually added. This actually came in like late yesterday. But some really cool, like almost blacklighty effects on the ultimate.
Yeah, everything there. Yeah, it definitely looks like everything would react to a black light. It fits the whole theme. Very, very cool here. And again, shout out to our Loki players out there because it's going to be in that skin family. Coming up next, we've got another kind of spooky, scary skeleton. It's going to be Spooky Nightmares Cupid, and you can see Spooky Dreams Kukulkan there on the same card. We'll take a look at what Cupid is doing first. He's spooky, but he's tiny. Let's hear what he's got to say.
I like that one, actually. It's a very different Cupid one.
Presence of the gruesome twosome.
I'm sorry. I was not Isaiah, I was not
How did the monster get caught? He trips it over the mess on your floor.
I did not. I expected a more normal Cupid voice. That's great.
I'm gonna bite your face. No, just a little.
He is so cute, but he is ferocious.
And thankfully, obviously, a lot of
I love
stuff,
this.
The old stuff, though, gotta keep the dance. You can't change.
It's like a Monsters Inc. skin.
That little, that little shuffle he's got going on there. So that kept the same. What are the hearts? Okay. Little,
I love this.
Bags of magic monster.
Little magic monster bags, yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that like sleeping sand thing?
The Sandman Dreams.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. We're putting two and two together here. Speaking of putting two together, we absolutely love the Biohacker and Kali skins that came out, and we kind of coupled them together. So the art team really wanted to do it again. So we kind of went with this like spooky
I love this
here.
one a lot.
And, as Cupid says, he and Kukulkan are definitely the gruesome twosome.
Right there.
Okay, this is dope.
Fun stuff on the ultimate. There's a VXG. He goes to sleep. I can't wait to BM players with this. I'm just gonna kill you and then go to sleep.
It's like 1v1 me in lane, and then just like
oh my god,
sleep.
It's nap time.
They sleep. Just out. Love that you can move with this Cupid. Pretty cool. Kumba, of course, the second part of the gruesome twosome. Not quite D Generation X, but certainly just as scary. Let's see what Kumba. Well, this is what he looks like on the card. What does he sound like with those glasses?
Jeez, the space under people's beds are so messy nowadays. I can hardly fit under there.
The big boy.
Ready? Okay. What do you do when 10 monsters are at your front door? Hope it's Halloween! 10 monsters at the door!
So he is very much the counterpart to Cupid. He is a lot more lighthearted, and I absolutely love the textures on the skin. It's very cartoony, very pastel.
Yeah, I was talking about this off air when we were talking about the Nike skin. The texture looks soft. I don't know how to it looks like it's pajamas, and that's something when we look at how far.
This one looks a bit washed out though. I don't know.
It's those finer details, and I think
looks like it's not max quality settings.
Kind of just this soft look to it makes it look like a monster or a toy or just something like kind of fun. I am gonna focus.
No, I like the Cupid one better.
The weapon. I absolutely love this. This is some old school nature druidy. Like it looks like something I would see on like a druid. But again, it's got this like fun. You compare this to the Scotty Ranger skin, and there's clearly like a childlike component to it.
But to be honest, Kumba has cooler skins already, anyways, in my opinion. So.
Another VXG for the big boy, and he too.
Oh, they're both
sleep.
Both him and Cupid. That duo lane is lazy.
I love that. Just kind of chilling out there. Shout outs to that. It's actually what it looks like when me and Taco go hang out. She's the Cupid and I'm the Kumba, so it all works out. Fun stuff there. That, of course, is just some changes to our characters already in the game. And the biggest thing I want to mention is it's the community celebration.
Definitely.
The more games you play, the more access to these skins we'll be able to get out there. So
wait, they will all be in there?
Shout out to Take Next Sunday. Coming up next, some new additions. We've got Persephone, and she's going to be showing up. That's why we're all dressed to the nines.
Exactly.
I'll toss it over to Aggro and the crew to talk about the new goddess.
Let's go, Persephone.
Every season has its ending. The leaves fall from the trees. Once more, I descend to my husband's kingdom. The gods claim it is a place of shadows and sadness. But what do the gods know of death? What do they know of me? They never wondered why I ate the pomegranate seed. But I had my reasons.
That animation though, that was wow. Impressive.
One of the most requested gods or goddesses we've had over the many, many years of working here. I know I hear about Persephone all the time, and I'm so excited to finally get a chance to show it off to you guys. Still joined by AJ and Chris, but now we got Pon joining us here. Guys, we're all dressed up because that's what Persephone wanted. And I get the feeling that Persephone gets what she wants an awful lot. You know?
You could say that, I guess. I don't know.
She seems like a commanding presence.
Yeah, she does.
Interesting personality, right?
Yeah,
How would you describe it?
I don't know. I say her personality is definitely the she knows what she wants, and when she has her mind set to it, she can go right after it.
So the lore video there teases a little bit about her, some of her background, but for those who aren't quite as inundated in that part of the realm, Pon, why don't you kind of give us a quick breakdown?
Yeah, so her overall lore is that she is the daughter of Zeus and Demeter, and they had a lot of time just telling her what she was going to do. Demeter was like, you're going to help me with my mysteries, and Zeus felt it was appropriate for him to give Persephone away without talking to her at all.
No.
And so she went to the Underworld. Hades took her to the Underworld, and the seasons ended up causing to be existed because Demeter was sad. She controlled the seasons. The world started dying, and Zeus was like, no, you have to bring her back. And so Hades offered her a choice of a pomegranate seed. And Persephone understood what that meant, that if she ate the pomegranate seed, she'd be choosing to stay with Hades rather than returning to the overworld for essentially forever. And so she took destiny into her own hands, ate the pomegranate seed, and they actually had probably the most successful relationship in Greek pantheon. Hades ended up taking on aspects of her, becoming a more harvest character, especially when she was in the Underworld. And when she's in the Underworld, she is the queen of the Underworld. She actually is able to, she has dominion over mortal souls. She's the one that kind of guides them through the Underworld. She has her own domain in the Underworld, and they ended up taking on aspects of each other. And now they're kind of working together to their own ends.
Okay, so Persephone, I mean, Hades has been kind of a mainstay in the SMITE story for a while now. He's a big part of Ragnarok and all that when it happens in game. Now Oleron has kind of risen to be the light side. Is Persephone kind of his anti-hero on the other side?
We're going to be exploring Persephone and Hades, their backstory and their complexities as gods, and their motivations a lot more in the upcoming SMITE storyline and our future events, specifically the Odyssey.
Okay.
So little spoilers, as the Odyssey will be focusing on Persephone a lot.
Okay.
And we're already finishing up the first chapter of that story, and it is really awesome. And you get a really in-depth view about the complexities that go on with those characters that appear evil because they're gods and goddesses of death, but they have very different motivations than the gods of Olympus. And the key distinction there is that Persephone doesn't like how controlling and selfish those gods of Olympus are. They are ultimately self-serving, even though they appear benevolent. Persephone wants humanity to have more freedom. As someone who ruler of mortal souls in the Underworld, she is the one who she experiences human death every day.
Sure.
And it's impacted her heavily, and her and Hades understand this, and they see that all of the plight that humanity goes through. So Persephone is going to be trying to shake up the Olympian gods and prevent them from being so rigid, and she's going to do this through some interesting ways, and it's going to be a good bit of our upcoming story. It's going to be a long narrative, I guess I'd say.
Okay, fair enough. I'm excited to see some of that, but I'm also excited to see Persephone in game. We've been doing this a little bit more recently.
Yes, let's
where
go.
we get a chance to have whoever's back there, I believe it's Clumsy today,
Ooh,
kind of give us
6
the
stacks.
quick run through of the
See
kit,
that?
show us what she's capable of, and then we'll go down and break it down step by step. So Clumsy, have at it, have some fun.
Seeds. Okay, she uses the seeds. You can move with the seeds. That's the ultimate.
That's a lot.
I got it right.
Yes.
She,
screen
the ultimate
There's a
tethers
lot going on,
allies.
and if you don't know exactly what's happening,
Like
it'd be hard to
Osiris
follow, but
reverse.
Dive right into that.
Yeah, that's what the breakdown is for. But let's kind of stay zoomed
Okay,
out a little bit here.
the seeds go back up, but the passive
What
keeps
is the
seeds.
overall idea? What is Persephone designed to do? How is she gonna really make her kit work?
So we wanted to highlight this combination of life and death and create a kind of necromancer-like character that isn't just about bringing up skeletons and spooky like bone creatures. We wanted her to actually feel like, what is her life-giving power and her nature powers? What if they are fused with underworld powers? And so her kit revolves around this interplay between life and death, and her ability to create these constructs of plant and skeleton using souls in the underworld that are willing to help her. And her whole gameplay revolves around creating this kind of field of plants that she calls her garden, and then using all her abilities to either plant more things, or grow them rapidly for a lot of damage, a lot of just immediate flourishing of life.
Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing is that we got a big passive icon.
Yes.
The pomegranate.
Is it 32
looks like it's
stacks?
filling up with seeds. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Correct. So her passive is pomegranate seeds. And this is whenever she has a plant, so you see a plant was placed there, auto attacked it to activate it. That's how you activate those plants in one way. And when those are activated, you get a seed that flies to you. You can store up to 100 of them, and you might notice that the first one's really big
100.
and the 3 other ones are kind of small. It's because that first one is really important. Once you get 25 seeds, when you would die, you instead use those seeds to keep yourself alive for 8 seconds. So you will actually stay fighting for 8 seconds, unable to be killed, unable to be stopped, unable to be CC'd. You do 50% reduced damage, but if someone kills you and you want to try and get the finishing blow, you have a garden that you haven't been able to activate, you get to do all that stuff for 8 seconds, assuming you have actually farmed the seeds to do so.
So you got to be tending to your garden properly.
Yep, and you can see the six there is showing how many ammo she has of her 2, which is her main ability to plant plants. And then the other pomegranates that are on the side, she can accumulate up to 100. So 25 lets her recover and come back to life. Okay. Any excess that she generates over the course of playing, when she backs to the base, she actually gets to sell them for gold. So if you're doing this really well, you actually get a little bit of gold generation as well.
Wow. Okay.
Jeez.
So 25 is the baseline that you basically need to be hitting if you want to use the kit to its full extent. If you're able to stay out a little bit longer, keep your seed generation going, how much are you? I mean, how much are we selling each of these seeds for?
3 per seed.
Okay, and you can get up to how many? 100.
100. So 75 will get sold because it always keeps 25, so you can use your revive passive.
Cool.
But it will sell any excess past that.
So if you
Pretty
don't
good.
like having downtime ever in Smite, this might be the goddess for you. You're going to be busy on this, guys.
Yes.
225
there's a lot
gold.
to do. This passive, I'm really happy with how it's designed because the after death type of mechanic is something that's been requested in the community for a really long time in Smite. It's something we've always wanted to explore. But we don't like an idea of an ability that does nothing until you die.
Right.
Because if you're playing well, then you get nothing out of it. You're playing a
passive,
4 ability
old
god instead of
passive.
5.
Yeah.
Which is not fun. So this whole farming mechanic ties in really well to give Persephone a clear design goal and give her structured rewards at different levels of how well you execute it. So if you're not making enough seeds at all, you go back to base with below 25. It doesn't sell any, right? You have to have excess, right, Pon?
Correct.
So if you just have 20, nothing's happening. When you get to 25, you can trigger the after death passive, and then if you continue farming, you get that really good feeling like when you're playing a different type of game that has mechanics like this, and you go cash in all of your crops at the end of the day, or in a mobile game in other
Harvest
ways,
Moon.
and then you just get the gold cha-ching, 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 cha-ching feeling.
Okay.
Which is what we're trying to give with Persephone
she just got
here.
3 gold right there. Excellent. Okay, let's look at ability 1 then, because that passive has a lot of components to it, but I think it'll probably feel very natural when you're using it. Her ability 1 is called Bone Rush. So what do we got here, Pon?
So this is her bringing in the Underworld to directly assist her. She actually will call forth a skeletal warrior of the Underworld, and this warrior will charge forward without abandon to target anyone in front of Persephone, and charges forward with such force that have you just kind of seen like the cartoon where the skeleton hits a wall and it kind of explodes as pile of bones, the bones go flying?
Right.
That's what it does. And so it'll damage anyone past the area it runs, when it'll stop on the first target hit. So you can see there it stopped immediately, and then the pile of bones would fly
Right, it
past,
can hit the-
and that damaged anyone behind the target.
Okay.
Additionally, the plant that she places with her 2 starts out as a skull, and the skeletal warrior has a skull. And so when it hits and all the bones go flying, the head actually goes flying to the end of it and also creates a plant. So not only can you create plants with your 2, you can also use your 1 to start placing especially really far out and aggressive plants.
Okay, so this is kind of your longer range planting.
Yes,
You know,
correct.
And to her core ranged poke, or I guess not necessarily her main wave clear, because her plants can do that too, but we'll get more into detail on that on ability 2.
It's pretty fast. I mean, it's got there's travel time for the skeleton, but it looks like the explosion afterwards is pretty quick and pretty
Correct.
long.
I believe that explosion is instant.
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But the travel time is there and the deploy time is there. And notice that Persephone, we spared no expense on her visual representation. This is a full-on character we're using for this ability.
Yes, yeah, a whole new friend basically to add in.
And you can see wherever she summons it, that's where it starts summoning from. So you have to take a little bit of different consideration from other abilities, where if you're side strafing and cast it, it'll cast from where where you were when you cast it, not where you currently are.
Ooh, I don't like
This
that.
ability a really nice feel in game. Although it might look like a simple line attack, it has a very unique feel to it than other abilities in the game. And that ability,
I'm gonna
kind of
whiff that a
start it
lot.
warming up and then let it charge forward allows you to do some really interesting plays where you're moving quickly and you aim at something, but you can continue on your way. You don't have to keep your camera locked on your target the whole time, which is nice.
Maybe it's good. I don't. I can't say
ability,
that's good or bad.
Harvest, we've seen Clumsy use this a decent amount to place the skulls, but I'm guessing that's not all it does.
It does a lot of things. So harvest is the main way that you place your plants out. You have 6 charges in a given time, and you can have 10 plants out maximum. And when you first place it, it's a skull on the ground, and you activate it with basic attacks. You activate all your plants with basic attacks. So you throw out the plant, you auto-attack it, and a skull goes flying to you, and that'll actually heal you. So if you just need quick sustain, you can drop a plant in front of you and use it to sustain yourself.
Wow,
If
she's
you
gonna have a ton of
place it
sustain.
and let it sit there for 4 seconds, a sprout will erupt through the skull, showing that it's now in a different state. And in this situation, when you attack it, it'll explode into like a kind of like spore cloud, and any enemy that's caught in it will take damage and be slowed. So this is kind of the middle stage where you've placed a plant,
That's
you've
decent
waited a
damage
little
as well.
bit, and now you can auto-attack it to get an explosion to occur in that area. If you wait 24 seconds, so a significant amount of time investment, you can see that one over there has actually gotten some legs, is now able to move around, and when it's attacked, it'll become alive and chase down any nearby god or minion, prioritizing gods first, and run at them, and then bite them.
And make a really creepy sound.
What just happened?
Yeah,
That's scary.
this ability has a lot of moving parts.
What?
Sometimes you want the exploding plant, sometimes you just want some sustain, sometimes you want to amass a giant garden of chasing plants and run them at opponents.
That's what I want all the
They are
time.
only alive for 3 seconds when they are chasing, so players can run away from them to avoid them.
As long as enemies can't
There's
break it.
a delay on when they bite, so you can try and juke the bite as well, so there are counterplay options to it. But when you have an army of these plants running at you, it's a pretty spooky experience.
Run away, yeah. Okay.
Oh,
so
you can run
shoot
away
it
easily, though.
If you give it a little wiggle right at the end, it looked like.
Specifically, once it starts firing, it's locked on to an area.
Gotcha.
And you can
You have to
tap
CC
yourself
first
out
and
of
then
that
send them
area.
out.
So can enemies
I hope the ult
kill
can
these
activate it.
plants or skulls?
Nope. So one thing that we wanted to make sure
Nice.
Persephone was she was creating her garden, and she had agency to play around it as best as she could.
Oh my god.
And so we wanted to give
It's gonna be a
gods when they're
minefield.
activated and where they can
Oh.
stand, rather than giving counterplay in regards to them being able to maybe kill the plants. So these plants are out there, and there is no way to kill them or destroy
bet the
them.
ult or something's
This
gonna
is
activate them
Persephone's
all.
garden. You are not going to mess with it.
Pon, I hope you take this
Gotta
as the
be
compliment that's intended.
dangerous.
I love and hate all of your gods because they make me think too hard. I've got too much
I
going
love
on
it.
in my brain, man. I don't have enough brain power to farm and keep my plants where I want them on the right stages.
You are fully capable of
Yeah, you
playing
can do
this
this.
goddess.
You guys, I'm gonna try. That's for sure.
We did design it in a way that there was growing levels of complexity, but that it wasn't necessarily mandatory.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Your
Aquatic.
skill floor should be relatively straightforward. As we go through the rest of the kit, you'll see that there's combinations that you can do to make this to get a good amount of execution out of it. But if you are a top level player and you want to maximize this to its full potential, there is a high skill ceiling there.
And can we just talk a minute about the art going on
Yes.
here
Yeah.
during this ability? Chris, what was the thought process for Persephone's effect scheme, and then how did you handle it on this ability?
Yeah, so it started off as like a really magical look, but kind of as we went through development, we decided that we also wanted to throw in a lot more elements, like natural elements to it. So it was kind of hard to keep a balance of like magical and physical kind of thing. So I noticed if you throw out her in hands, you'll notice that they're like vines that kind of creep through the ground instead of just being like a straight magical protection or projectile. And same with these plants, we still want...
it gets reduced by half every time.
We want it to look like a kind of
Can't
like a
spam
spore
them.
explosion. If you blow them up, you'll notice like a flower and a skull pops out, which is all very magical, but there's still like physical elements tying it all together. So it's kind of difficult, but I think it turned out pretty nicely. It fits her character pretty well.
It looks great, and I think the idea to put these on the ground traveling basic attacks because they're popping the seeds up out of the ground works. Super
And
well.
just Persephone is, we knew far in advance with Persephone, we wanted her to have supporting characters as a kind of necromancer or multi-management character. We knew we were gonna have other
I love
supporting
this
characters.
so
So that's
much.
where we have
The
the
sounds.
skeletal charging minion, as well as the creepy flower creature that is featured prominently in her card art, which looks awesome. And then all of its intermediate forms. So a lot of additional artwork went into this goddess.
Yeah,
and
big shout out to the team.
Right.
The entire art pipeline, modeling, concept, rigging, tech art, animation. when you have a character that has this many supplemental models, it is definitely a big task. And I mean, just look how cool all these plants are.
And I love her little like hop. She's like having a good time, you know? She's like planting something. She looks like, you know, a little like Snow White, like plants in here, plants in there, but it's actually like necromancer plants coming at you.
You've exactly nailed it there, Aggro. And if you've read my blog post, you'll see the kind of duality in these themes. She is a regal, powerful supervillain, but she's also young and anti-establishment and a little bit of, honestly, like a hippie feel to her.
Okay.
And that
is she even a supervillain? She's just
in
against
both
what
her
other gods
voice
think.
acting, her overall theme, and her participation in the Smite story.
Or defending
and
her.
animation. And we're going to see that especially featured here in her next ability.
That is Flourish, her third ability. This is the movement that we saw a little bit earlier on. You mentioned this in your blog post, and this might be one of those the more cinematic moves.
Ooh, there we
it
go.
feels like, just
So-
based on the look alone.
So Flourish is a two-way leap, which is kind of new that we're doing. It's either if you're going forward, you'll leap forwards a set distance, or if you're going backwards, you'll leap backwards a set distance. And it's a leap ability that does something where you take off, not where you land. So she actually kind of explodes life-giving energy underneath her, and that propels her forward or backwards. And that life-giving energy, if there are plants around, not only do they immediately activate, so this is your way of triggering a whole bunch of plants very
Holy,
quickly,
that's cool.
they also upgrade. So if you have a few of your kind of sprouted plants out, and you do the flourish on them, so you can see there, some of them are skulls, some of them
he's
are
going all in.
Yep. You saw two explosions.
Oh, if you go
and 4
forward,
bites.
like,
So
for a
there's
hard
big garden.
dive,
If you've made a big garden,
jeez.
here's your way to quickly activate it and get the most out of it.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't need to even wait for that 24 seconds or anything like that. You just have to use a movement ability, which is a high investment, but it seems like a big payoff.
Yeah, this is a nice way for you, especially if you're in a situation.
It
where
looks
you
so
didn't
cool as
necessarily
well.
get
The way she leaps.
The kind of maximum garden that you want to pre-plant somewhere. You have.
I'm
the
actually so
ability to
excited.
actually get some immediate benefit, and not only that. When she uses her Flourish ability, she actually pre-germinates her next goal. So when you place it, it's immediately in its tier 2 stage. So you can do things like backwards leap because the jungler came to gank you, throw out your plant, which is now an exploding plant that slows, and immediately basic attack it.
Right.
Holy, that's so cool.
But for how long?
This ability is sweet.
Very interconnected.
Oh, her next one.
Yes.
This ability also has some other interesting features along with it. It allows
So
Persephone to leap
you leap forward,
through
place another
walls,
plant, and
over walls.
detonate that as well.
Oh,
When
that's good.
similar abilities in the game do not. We've redesigned
Ooh.
Persephone's to allow that. But as you see with that little targeting reticle out front, you need to make sure you have the fully cleared distance.
Oh,
and
you need-
won't make it over a wall.
Ooh,
And
you
she
need
can
like
also leap through walls
quick cast for that
backwards,
or something.
That is
which
really
has never
cool.
been done before.
Oh man, I'm gonna like blink.
Oh
in,
my
plant
God.
Something, then
Oh
just
my.
right out.
But if you make the mistake, you will just faceplant into the wall you're standing right next to and then get immediately murdered by a pile of gods.
Be careful, that has happened.
Yep.
As you just saw there, he thought he was going to be able to get over that wall, and he didn't quite get there. So you got to be careful.
Back jumping over walls it can be a risky play, so be careful with it.
That
Also,
is so
sometimes when we
cool.
spam things on cooldown, we might get some interesting plays here. But you see here a very light, floaty animation treatment to go forward with those themes that we were talking about before, and the detonation area being at the origin point as opposed to the destination
Yeah, I
point.
kinda see a
That
cooldown.
was mostly designed to discourage people from jumping into a pile of plants and enemies.
Right.
However powerful that could have been, that would have been extremely high risk, high reward type of gameplay, mostly just resulting in Persephone getting killed.
Yep.
Not what we wanted.
No.
And I want to make a note of effects here too. Is a lot of her abilities have kind of like this deep red and darkness to it, and that area that she's creating is actually pretty lively and like full of life. And so you get a lot more of her nature aspects there. I don't know if you want to talk about more about how we decided to do that kind of style for her.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the pitch for her, you know, we had this duality for the god that we wanted to make, but we didn't want to have like a hell situation where it was like two different gods essentially. So Pon kind of designed all of the abilities to have like either like a life element or like an undeath element to them, and then like some combine the two. I don't know if you want to expand on that.
That's what we were going for. No, lots of times when you talk about life and death as a theme, people think about it alternatingly.
Yeah. Right.
Life or death. You don't really show both at once. And we were like, nah. We want something more unique and something more interesting. We're going to do life and death. So we tried to really design all of her abilities and all of her feel around combining life and death into a single visual theme at a single time, not alternating back and forth, not half and half, but life that brings death or death springing from life all at once. It was not an easy theme to. The kind of the point of the whole blog post. There's a lot of in between themes. She's this but that, this but not this but that, but somewhere in between. These alternate combinations. It's a difficult theme to work with, and she was really challenged for the design team and the art team. But we're really happy with what.
You always have like a certain charge of the plans.
To the ultimate. We got a chance to see
but I don't know how it works with
preview,
cooldowns
it looks
at all.
Sweet. Grasp of Death.
And it costs a lot of mana eventually.
Post mentioned this was 2 new types of CC.
Yep, that is true.
What do we got here, fellas?
So when this is going to be a ability where she throws it out and she conjures essentially life in her hands, a ball of vines, and throws it forward. And this ball of vines will actually entrap and encase, and entrap is the new CC, and encase the person that it hits inside this cage of vines. And you can see if you walk forward, it actually has like a health bar for pips.
I literally guessed it right.
Attacked.
Okay.
But that person inside is rooted, they're crippled, and they have their attack speed slowed. So the only way for them to get out of this ability is either beating to remove the effect, or actually like auto-attacking their way out of this thing.
Oh, I like that.
Not only that, the vines are not done once they've hit their target. They seek enemies.
But
they
when
are
do you
not
get out?
content with just the person they've trapped. And so vines will actually reach out to grab the person that's around.
I can't believe I guessed that right.
They can no longer move further away. So you can see that Chalk's trying to run away, but no, he's tethered to that person. And if he moves closer, it'll actually reel him in. Like if he ever moves closer,
my God.
he cannot move much
That
further
is
around
disgusting.
So 2 new types of CC, entrapped and bind.
And I love it.
I'm gonna really like setting my jungler up for double Thor dunks and huge Humbats ults.
I just wonder how long it takes to get out of the ult.
T5 Cuckoo game, and this was pretty good with a tornado and ult.
Yeah, that seems not bad.
It's one of the longest duration CCs in the game, but that's designed because it has counterplay in mind. And even the bind, the allies, it's all designed to encourage your allies to break you out.
Yeah.
Because when you break the person out, you also break yourself out.
Ooh.
And not only that,
hold on.
The vines don't care if they're hitting a god. That's fine if they hit a wall. It creates the deployable there instead of the god.
You can bind them to the wall. Yep. That's so cool.
That might be even more. I don't even know.
Stay over there, chumps.
I don't even know if that's not
so
better or worse.
And if they walk in afterwards, it's not just on initial cast. If they walk in afterwards,
Super easy to confirm.
The vines will reach out to them. If they leave, the vines will retract if it didn't quite get them. So it has a very lifelike quality.
It's so strong.
If you see the Chalk walks in here, and now it reaches out for him and grabs him.
Oh, wait, no, I've messed up. That is incredible. Okay, so
if you place it on a wall, they're gonna take longer to break it. So
you get released.
Yeah, you were able to walk out of the cage.
Okay, does the person who is tethered to the cage?
They're still in there.
They have to beads as well.
They have to wait, or they have to beads. They have to wait the duration, or they have to break the entrapping vines.
Okay, but if you're trapped, you can auto attack this.
Yep.
This thing on the wall here.
So you can see Chalk's hitting it, trying to break it. Didn't quite break it fast enough, got the full effect.
That's gonna take super long to like actually take it down.
Whoever's trapped in there has their attack speed slowed, right? So it's even harder for that person to
Consider how rarely people actually break a Bracken ult.
And
then you know.
They can fight back, but they are crippled by inside of it, so they can't leap out of it. And so you definitely need some people to help you break out of this more quickly. And so if a whole team gets trapped, everyone better turn to kill that thing because it's in everyone's best interest.
Can we get this ultimate fired from an enemy Persephone's perspective, please?
Oh yeah,
production team, because this projectile looks insane.
Yeah,
and
it looks
you only
crazy.
get to see part of that awesomeness from Persephone's perspective. It's really the.
I love this. I love everything about this.
When this thing is flying towards you, that's when you really start to feel the terror that we wanted you
I feel
to
like she could even jungle
Yeah,
decently.
the sound
But you can't make plant fields,
it's
so that's
kind of
eh.
as it's coming at you for sure.
We were playing with the concepts of, grasping vines. This is a sort of common horror and plant mage type of theme. So this felt really natural to her. And we wanted to make sure this was really scary.
Ooh.
That is horrifying. Whoa.
Jeez.
You guys did not warn me about that giant skull coming at me.
Yeah.
What is that?
That's what we're talking about. It looks amazing.
They're like, yeah, we can just make the cage into a projectile. She throws a cage.
Wait, does this have infinite range?
It's just like a giant
oh my god, it
skull
does.
on front of the projectile, and
Oh my god, it just
also,
breaks wherever it goes.
It has global range.
It has no max range.
It will go. It'll go until it hits a wall. So you can see that one. I think is gonna hit like the Phoenix wall.
That was a perfect shot. Oh my god.
What in the
Yeah, I mean, it has an effect when it hits wall, so it's okay if it keeps going until it hits a wall.
No, it's not okay.
It doesn't go through walls.
It doesn't go through walls.
Walking into base and just get clotheslined by
You're
this
gonna see a
ultimate.
giant, scary skull with like these tendrils coming at you.
That would kind of be a waste of the ability, though, unless
Would
they
it be?
managed to
For
get
the
Or the
sheer
most-
psychological damage I'm
I guess
inflicting?
No,
not.
that's a top front page Reddit.
Whoa, audio is way louder. That was well done, production team.
We just
though. That was
jump
awesome.
scared some people.
Wow.
Me?
The cut was
I'm gonna
brilliant.
love doing that. I'm gonna try.
And notice
This
how
is where I'm gonna live.
the cage has those skull elements built into it as well. Life and death all seen together at once in glorious, evil, clever harmony.
The whole art team just killed it.
Right, I'm so down for everything. Everything about this
Three,
goddess.
Like, deployables, that's a lot of work for them to do.
Yeah.
They did
Yeah.
awesome.
It really did.
This god is just specifically more work than a usual god. Like,
I love it.
Yeah, because
I
you're
want this
trying to give like
now.
star people for life.
I don't want to play Smite until she
with
comes
results
out.
of it.
she's not that scary. She's got good motivations. Come on.
Yeah, I guess.
You're a human. She'd be cool to you.
Oh my god.
That's sweet. All
I'm so hyped for this.
Let's take a listen. We got the voice pack, of course, that you have to listen to for Persephone. Let's take a listen.
Oh, jeez.
Ruined.
Be thankful. From your corpse, I will create something beautiful.
Ooh.
The
Big
only
skull.
use for you is to nourish the soil. Attack! Defend!
Oh, those
I
animations are
appreciate
great.
Hades. He doesn't take me for pomegranate.
Oh,
Nice.
Oof, the puns.
I'll give you one chance to surrender. Take it or leave it.
Jeez.
Classic. What about her
Not
recall?
bad.
The extra
We
effect
are
on
going to
it.
show you guys the death passive in just a minute, but they got to get it working basically so you can get a chance to see how it works.
Yeah, you can't be, so for production, you can't be in God mode, and you have to actually do hit me with more than your health amount, because you have to die normally. If you just do the command to normally kill your character, it won't work.
All right, so there it is. You get picked up by the skeleton, and so she does less damage in this mode.
50% damage.
But
Can
she,
do everything else.
If you can use all your abilities,
including your ult.
including your ult.
Okay.
Wow.
and you are
This
did you
is
say
so
you're CC
cool.
immune?
You can't be interacted with.
She's untargetable.
Yeah, so you can't take damage, you can't be CC'd, you
She
can't
doesn't
be
body
hit.
block either. She can't.
Yep.
So
Oh,
she can't
that's
just
the
do,
gold
like,
from
an
the
infinite hunter wall
passive.
of blocking volume or anything like that.
Okay.
She can't just body block you inside tower range, right?
Correct.
Anyone can pass through her.
That is too cool, man.
It's also important and worth noting. We're working on it right now, but when she goes live, she will, in theory, have a material swap on her that makes her more ghostly and glow, so it's more apparent that she is in a
Nice.
resurrected state and not just.
Excellent.
Yep, there are a few small features that are coming in that you'll see over the course of PTS and before live. Our live, that's one of them.
Excellent. Okay, we got to take a look at these recolor. Oh, this recolor. I should say.
yeah.
How can they even do a good recolor for
Recolor,
that? This
little bit
default's so
more
cool.
Red.
No,
Wait.
that's the base.
Oh, that's the base.
What?
Oh, I was
That's
like, wow,
not the
that's-
right card art.
I was like, that
That's the
goes
base
kinda-
card art.
I was like,
It's,
Which is
it's
dope.
fantastic. The
just
recolor
great.
card art is really cool though, and it gives you a little bit more.
There you
Yeah.
go.
a more
Whoa, what the
interesting emotion
face?
that she
Hang on, I'm gonna
shows.
screenshot this
This
real
kind
quick.
of- She's
Oh, I
not
can't
just
even-
a straight up bland supervillain. She has a lot more interesting motives, and that's why you get this really clever grin here with a lot
One
more
sec.
power.
How'd you guys know my favorite color was green? Really appreciate it.
Wanna see
I like
that.
this one. I'm going to be using this one quite a bit.
We figured people
Okay,
who
I'm more for the
green, so.
Yeah, fair enough.
the default, I
This
think.
almost
really
shows
cool.
more of her springtime outfit versus her fall
Yeah, I'm a
winter
default
outfit.
guy here.
Yeah, you're seeing both ends of the wardrobe there.
You're a
That-
caster. You got to dress up. You understand some basic fashion principles of fall colors and spring
very
colors.
basic.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just ask Tom most of the time, to be honest.
Me
with
too,
you.
but yeah.
That's the way we do it.
We have
around
professional art team that understands those very well.
Here. Yes,
And this recolor turned out awesome.
it really did. That is sweet. You get to both ends of the spectrum. Persephone looks great. Of course, PTS will be up shortly.
Yes.
We hope that. So just stay tuned to all of our social medias and that kind of stuff. Smite Pro on Twitter is.
We
the
do
place
want to
or
call
Smite Game,
attention
rather.
to that her mastery skins will not be launching in her update.
Okay.
They will be launched next update.
Okay.
So
Or
we'll
some
probably still get
golden
bug reports
skulls.
for those being missing, but that is intentional that those are missing.
Okay,
on
that was
PTS, those are not
beautiful.
being
I'm
given to the others,
so
being
looking forward
pushed
to
up.
playing her.
This goddess
So
has so
much.
much going on that
Yeah.
we want to take the extra time, make
Wow.
sure those look good.
I'm actually
I don't
impressed.
think delaying the goddess for the mastery skins is the right call. You know
We
what
did
I
the
mean?
same thing with Horse and Set. We shipped their masteries afterwards, and that's okay. And we used to do that a lot anyway.
Yeah, that's how it used to
Gives
be.
people another bump of progression, because some people play the god like crazy, but it's nice to, you play the god like crazy when it comes out, and then the next update, you get the mastery skins come out, and you go, ooh, okay, maybe I'll play a little more, and we like that too, because we like just keeping people to try the god multiple times.
Yeah, I like that sort of flow as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining us and showing off Persephone. She looks absolutely phenomenal. Again, at SMITE Game on Twitter, so you can get all the updates on when PTS is going live and all that kind of stuff. Thanks so much for watching our update show where all of us dressed up and had a lot of fun. Make sure you stay tuned, though. Just 5 more minutes. We've got Esports Weekly coming up, so stay tuned, and we'll see you next time.
And I will be doing the patch notes review after this, as well as taking a look at her on PTS once she's coming up. So you've got a lot more stuff coming up after this on my channel as well. I'm so excited for Persephone. I'm gonna play mid. I'm gonna be a Persephone main. Like, what's up? Changing roles. That's it. This is the final breaking point. The new assassin item didn't come, unfortunately. Some of the guard chains were a little bit weird, but yeah, more on that in the patch notes. Whoa, ouch. In the patch notes review a little bit later. Thank you guys very much for watching. DukeSloth out.